So, you read a little Nietzsche, it's all peachy. You go online, ignore everyone getting screechy. Watch some vids, and you see people talking discreetly about Nietzschean ethics, the creation of values, re-evaluation of morals, or transvaluation. But no one seems to be giving any real examples, and everyone seems to have different ideas on the how, why, and what the result would look like. No one seems to have the concept packaged neatly. Little do they all know, there is a really good example of creating your own values, or transvaluation, as given in the story of Dune. There is a scene in the first book where Paul is confronted with a dilemma. He has proven himself as a warrior and a worm rider. To proceed forward, he is expected to kill Stilgar. In fact, to kill Stilgar would be just and honorable by Fremen norms. So what is he to do? Not killing him is unthinkable by Fremen standards. And yet, where no one else can see a path, he forges a new one. By not killing Stilgar and having him remain in his position of authority, he isn't just making a political play by inserting a new rank above Siege leader. He is literally unbinding himself from the morals, customs, and traditions of a people and showing them a new ethos. Now you may say, yeah, but isn't Paul superhuman? Isn't he the Kwisatz Haderach? Yes, true, but he has attributes that we ourselves can cultivate to a certain degree. Specifically, prescience. Prescience is forethought, or foresight. This relates mythically to both Prometheus and certain Gnostic sects that used forethought as the name of a being that descends and aids Sophia in her fallen state. And in some Greek myths, Prometheus wields an axe, which he uses to aid in the birthing of Athena, wisdom, from the head of Zeus, wisdom. Knowing, forethought or foresight are all intimately connected. But how do we cultivate these things within us? And in what way does this grant us the agency to transvaluate our lives? Well, let's add a little Gurdjieff to the equation. Gurdjieff has a system called The Work, later dubbed The Fourth Way, which relates a simple technique simply called self-observation. Basically, you are practicing a type of detached watching on yourself while going about daily living. You're not actually trying to change anything you do per se. You are merely watching your being's reactions to impressions while you are in the world. The data you collect through self-observation is categorized in 3 ways. That is, reactions or impressions or functions that relate to 1. The intellect, 2. The emotions, or 3. Motor instincts. What one begins to notice through prolonged self-observation is that we humans are like machines. Just like how when you put a specific input into a computer to get a specific output, we humans, if we are given specific impressions or sensations, will always react to it in the same way every time. By continuing self-observation, we begin to not only notice all these outputs or functions, but realize they are interlinked. Example, you notice, via self-observation, that a peculiar string of thoughts are in your mind. You realize that these thoughts have arisen from a particular emotional state. That emotional state only arose once you were sitting in a particular posture. Therefore, posture, you have learnt, leads to an emotional state, which brings thoughts of a particular quality to your conscious awareness. In this way, you begin to notice the interlinked nature of your being as a system. Sometimes a thought will arise within you from seeing something externally. This thought will then be the cause which generates associated emotions, which themselves will impact the body by becoming tense in certain areas. Other times, the impressions will impact you directly through the emotions, which then arise certain mental and somatic reactions in parallel. And even still, sitting alone in a blank room, old impressions and sensations will arise out of memory. What he said at work, or what she said to us in high school, or that one thing that happened that one time that always makes you cringe. You know what I'm talking about. Through self-observation, you begin to grasp a chain of cause and effect that runs through the functions of your human machine. Once you have this, you can begin to change through hindsight. Your aim gives you a purpose, whether it be to reach the higher cylinders, Gurdjieff, the Superman, Nietzsche, or the Kwisatz Haderach, Dune. You can now discard the categories of good and evil and merely ask, is this useful? Did eating 12 pizzas bring me closer to the Superman, or should I have done a workout? Was watching hours and hours of black pill content worth it? Or should I have spent that time learning an instrument or even just listening to music that I like? Through hindsight, we judge our actions by how useful they were in bringing us closer to our aim. This leaves behind all moralism and unexamined values that might have restricted us from moving forward. And through developing the soil of hindsight, we may experience the first sprouting of something new called foresight. With foresight and hindsight, the geometry of our being gains a new side. Fundamentally, we have three selves now. One in the past that reaches forward through time to tweak our machine so we don't make the same errors. And another self in the future that reaches back through time, through foresight, and warns us of dead ends in our path. These two are reconciled in one, our present. The difference between us and others, normie NPCs, is now our past, our future, and present are in constant dialogue. This new dimension of time is added to our being. Once you have this, the only difference between you and your peers in the work will be differences in degree. Some will have developed a little foresight, whereas others will seem as if eternity itself speaks through them. Now the only problem you'll have is if you can foresee your future trials, will you have the power to triumph over them? This now is a different question, not one of consciousness, but one of will, of Thelema. But that is a talk for another time.